Hey everybody, this is Gene Hoglan and you are watching Loudwire.
Hey everyone, Graham from Loudwire here, and it's Wikipedia Fact or Fiction time with the atomic clock, Gene Hoglan. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time today, man.
Oh man, thanks for having me do this. I love this. This is awesome. I love this portion.
Oh great, I'm glad. So, you know how it works. I'm going to say some stuff that I pulled from Wikipedia today. You can confirm or deny and elaborate if you so choose.
Gotcha.
Mr. Eugene Victor Hoglan II.
That is correct.
I don't know why it said the second when it could have just said Junior.
Well, that would make my dad the first, and my grandpa was the first.
So you're the third?
No, No, my dad is named Gerald Lane Hoglan. My grandfather was named Eugene Hoglan. So
Gotcha.
I'm named the second after Dad.
Okay.
Even though I'm number one. I'm number one.
Born in Dallas.
That is correct.
Okay, they do get that wrong sometimes.
Oh, okay.
It said that you got your first drum kit when you were 13, and you're completely self-taught, and you started off playing to Kiss and Rush records.
That is correct.
That's
Absolutely.
True. That's quite the dynamic there, Kiss and Rush, like really nailing the fundamentals, and then going insane with
going
Neil
right
Peart,
right for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, when you were just starting, how much of Neil Peart were you really getting into? Was it the basics? Were you going crazy right away?
I was trying to go crazy, you know. Like I make it common knowledge around myself that I started off playing drums by air drumming for 4 or 5 years before I ever had a drum kit.
So the rest of us.
Yeah, you know. So at age 8, I got my little drumsticks in my hand and I'm air drumming along and I'm playing on my bed and all that whatnot that a lot of other people do. So
yeah.
So it was actually a pretty simple transition from air to drum, you know. So
wow.
Getting all the, air drumming to Neil Peart, man, that's a real good way to teach yourself some stuff. Break every single part of it down, like what his hands are doing, what his feet are doing, and then by the time you get on a drum kit, you can play YYZ like no problem.
Is that going to be included on your DVD?
YYZ?
Yeah, YYZ, or how to play without using a kit, maybe on your bed, maybe pots and pans, stuff
You know
like
what?
that.
That's a real good idea for the next one, I tell you.
The next one, okay.
Thank
Wait
you, I'll
for
give you credit.
Clock strikes 3.
That's right.
Yeah.
Strike 3.
In '83, you began your music career as a roadie and light engineer for Slayer, playing drums during their sound check.
That is correct.
It's true, yeah, Carrie wasn't really
Carrie,
sure.
I saw that one.
I think it may have been the lighting engineer thing
That was probably, I remember him saying, no, I remember Gene took a whole lot of pictures. And I was like, I don't remember taking any pictures. I think he was a photographer. I think he's getting me and my sister confused because my sister was always down at all the shows taking pictures. And I remember she had a great shot of Carrie that I thought should have been used for Hello 8s, but I don't know if they even use live shots for Hello 8s.
Yeah.
I can't even remember that. But
So were you working the lights for them at the time?
Probably, because I was probably taken at the country club in LA, and I was working for him at that time, totally.
All right, you heard it from the man himself. You contributed to Slayer's Chemical Warfare by holding Dave Lombardo's drum kit together because there was no carpet in the studio.
That is correct.
That is true. So
yeah.
While he's blasting away, you're in front of the drum kit, just holding it together to make sure it doesn't explode.
Absolutely, make sure it doesn't walk because he was having some issues, and I got to, every time I hear Chemical Warfare, like I was, down there on the ground with arms around, mic stands and cymbal stands and all that stuff and holding it, and that tom that he's pounding, that I remember he had purple heads on his drums. He had concert toms, meaning he didn't have a bottom head to that drum kit he had.
Wow, so really loud.
Yeah, and that tom was right there, right, I'm like that.
Boy.
And I just remember, like, in the first 5 seconds of the song, I was like, oh my God, I hope he nails this in 1 or 2 takes. I hope we're not here for like 3 or 4 hours. I will die. But so every time I hear Chemical Warfare, you get a little image of your brain of the first time you hear something. You remember where you were or what you were doing. It's like that's my image of Chemical Warfare every single time. So
beautiful.
And he also used my China on that song. It'll slow middle part. That's my China.
Gene Hoglan's China symbol. Very good.
My Chinas were making vinyl debuts before I was.
Exactly.
Jesus.
How about that? It said that you became an influence on Lombardo's drumming and speed. Although you never gave him lessons, you did give him tips on his double kick.
That is true.
Oh, wow.
I remember he got a double bass kit right before they went in and did Show No Mercy. And then he tracked Show No Mercy without the double bass. And I was like, well, I've already seen you play shows with that thing, and how come you're not recording with it? And he was like, man, I wasn't getting it. You know, I wasn't grasping the concept of it with enough comfort in time to record. So we were at Tom's garage, Tom's rehearsal place where they're at, and I sat behind his kit, and I just started noodling, and just, you know, I'd played air drums for many years. You know, I always played drums, and he'd been to my house, and all the guys from Slayer had been to my house. So they watched us both jam on my kit, which at the time was a single bass kit. But you know, I'm sitting there, I immediately just started flying on the double bass. And he was like, dude, when did you get a double bass kit? You know, your kit's a single bass kit? When? How long have you been playing double bass? And this is true. I like looked at my watch. I was like, I don't know, what time is it? You know, like I've 3 minutes, you know, that's it. And he just started picking my brain on, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm concentrating on my left foot. Concentrate on your left foot. And he's like, okay, I'm not doing that. And I just started giving him tips and all that sort of stuff. And at the end of that tour that we did, he had asked if I would, you know, be interested in like sticking around and being his drum tutor. And I was kind of like, man, you know what? I'm into doing what you're doing. I'm into playing in a band myself, and I want to see what kind of career I can make out of this. So thank you for the offer, but I'm good. I'm going to carry on.
Wow, so thank you, Gene, for that amazing double bass fill on Angel of Death. You are partly responsible for that.
Wouldn't have happened without me, damn it.
Zimmer's Hole, a very underrated band, I must
Absolutely.
say. Anonymous Esophagus, listen to that song. The band was named after the band's late friend who would chase people with his butt cheeks spread during parties.
Yes, and usually those were the really pretty girls that didn't really belong at that kind of shitbag party. You know, it's not like, oh, you can chase some shitbags around with his ass cheeks. You know, everybody would just be like, ah, fuck, whatever. But he would usually find the really hot chicks and do it to them. So that's what made it even more scarring and band title worthy.
Yes, exactly. All right. Named after the man Sphincter. Beautiful. Pitch Black Forecast. You met Jason Popson while he was selling merch from Meshuggah.
That's right.
Jason never mentioned that he was Mushroomhead's frontman, and it wasn't until late in the tour with Strapping Young Lad that you found out that he was it.
Yeah, he was just Jay, the cool merch guy, you know. It turns out that he put out on his record label, I think it was called Fractured Transmitter. He ended up putting out the I EP from Meshuggah. You know, he put that out himself and stuff. But this was, you know, predating that. But yeah, it was just Jay, the cool merch guy. And then we found out, you know, you're Mushroom, dude, you're selling like quarters of millions of albums with each one of your albums. What are you doing out here? He's like, I got time off. I got nothing to do. I'm single. Let's do this. So that was cool. That was great. And we've become best friends ever since.
Awesome. Dethklok. While touring with Soylent Green, an electrical fire broke out during the band set. Fans thought it was part of the show, so they didn't immediately evacuate.
I know that this happened at the Fillmore in San Francisco. It's the legendary Fillmore, and it's probably, at that time, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was a 100-year-old building at least then, you know, maybe 120 years old. And we were very fortunate because our sound man and light man were kind of ex-firefighters. So they're up there kind of in the rafters, you know, everything's kind of high up there. And our light guy smelled something, and they knew exactly what the smell was. They were able to track it down and find it and put it out. Turns out that the separators for all the electricity, you know, little things that keep the wires apart, those things were like 100-year-old cardboard. They were just kindling, really, and we actually Dethklok saved everybody's life that night, I tell you.
Just like every other day for Dethklok.
Absolutely.
Did they evacuate people?
They did, and we had to cancel the show.
And
we came back and played it a few days later. You know, we just made it up. We made up the day.
Not all was lost. It was good.
Absolutely.
Yes, Galacticon 2. You said that the album will serve as basically the new Dethklok record that everybody wants so desperately.
Well, I suppose it has so many elements of Dethklok. It has so many elements of the first Galacticon, and it actually has quite a bit of elements of the clock opera that we did.
Yes.
So it's a fantastic amalgamation of all three, and it's awesome. It's really killer. We're in the mixing phase right now. Hopefully we get that released. But it's like I would have to say, if you like Dethklok, if you appreciate Dethklok, definitely check this one out, because there's many Dethklok moments on it. You know, I don't know what Brendan can say legally about it, but he has told me, like, Gene, I can't really tell you what to say. So I'm like, if you like Dethklok, go check this thing out, because you're gonna dig it.
Perfect. Last one for you. When you did Leave Testament shortly before the Demonic tour, you did it to join Strapping Young Lad. It says your loyalty to Strapping and desire not to remain a Testament member came to the realization with an interview with Metal Maniacs.
That is true.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay.
I knew they flew me in from Vancouver, and you know, Chuck was telling me in the car ride over to pick up Eric that, you know, we're going to announce you as a member on this, and I'm like, Chuck, do you remember all the things I've been saying for the last like 7, 8, 9 months of like, I'm in Strapping, you know, I want to help you guys out and do what I can for you guys, but as for being in Testament, if I have to make a choice, I'm choosing Strapping. I've never said anything different, but I know what it's like to kind of not hear the news you don't want to hear for 7 or 8 months, and Chuck was like, okay, man, that's cool, I get it. And I remember Eric was not the happiest about it, but it all got worked out. You know, hey, we're back together now. But yeah, I was always like, I'm strapping, brand new band, I'm in Strapping. These days, now it's like no problem. Yeah, you want to be in 2 bands, you want to be in 5 bands, you want to be in every band in the world like me, just go do it. So had I known then what I know now, I probably would have said, sure, you know, let's do this, and I'll do Strapping as well. Yeah, wow. I didn't grasp that as a concept back then, but now it's the concept that runs my life. So
yeah. All right, wow. So pretty much everything correct on Wikipedia for Mr. Gene Hoglan.
Badass.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
Excellent.
Testament, the Brotherhood of the Snake. It's available now. Pick it up. Listen to this man drum.